Agod v'achra boisai. We're holding by Omar Ravina Bar Shila on the Peitesam Beis, 8 lines from the bottom. Omar Ravina Bar Shila, Emure Kochim Kalim Shiyotzu Lifnei Zrikas Domim. So we have a guy that does videos for us. This is Emurim. The certain parts of the animal, even on Kochi Kalam. So let's see if we have the list here of Kochi Kalam. No, not today. Okay, there's Oila, Chatos, Osham, Shalmi Tzibur maybe. You have no. Listen, do me a favor. Hold on a second. Kochi Kalam, Pesach, Shlomim, Toida, Nazir, Chor, Meiser, Shkoyach, Dave. We're finding it in seconds. That's Kochi Kalam. Some of the Kochi Kalam you have to take from the Kochi Kalam, not some. From the Kochi Kalam you take Emurim. Emurim, like the kidneys, the skirt steak, and some of the fat. You put it on the mizbeach. Now, what happens if the Emurim we know turn into Kochi Kochim, even though it's Kochi Kalam, which is a lesser degree of Gedusha than Kochi Kochim, the Oila, the Chatos, etc. The Kochi Kalam is Kochi Kalam, but part of it becomes Kochi Kochim when you put it on the Mizbeach. When you do Zrikas Hadam. So what happens is, it left the Beis Hamikdash before you were able to do Zrikas Hadam. What's the halacha? Pasul. So what happened? Some of the Emurim left the Beis Hamikdash. Pasul. Betanatuna. We learned in the Mishnah that Meiser comes before the bird. Meiser, an animal. Every 10 animals you have to give it a red dot, but it's an animal. An animal always comes before a bird. We'll see today actually, there are cases that not really. So the Mishnah says there's 2 reasons why it comes before the bird. First of all, there's shchita, and it has kochi kochim, meaning doma ve'imurov, 2 things: the blood and the imurim that an animal has. So the obvious question is, when you're reading it, you should ask, but doesn't a bird also have blood? You have to sprinkle the blood of a bird on the mizbeach. Bishlam imurim, let's know ba'ifos. There's no imurim by a bird. Elada mi yisei, but there is blood. Elalav komash malon imurim kidamo. What the Gemara is the Mishnah is trying to say is that there's something in common between the blood and the imurim. Of course, there's blood by a bird, but there's a halacha regarding the imurim that comes from blood. Ma'adama lefnei zrika. The blood obviously is before the zrika. So even imurim we're talking about before the zrika, and nevertheless it's considered kochi kochim. The imurim of a kochim kalam, the imurim of, let's say, shlamim, are considered kochi kochim before the zrika. And just like when the blood leaves the Beis Hamikdash, there's something called yotzei, it left, that's it, it's possible, you can't put it back on the mizbeach. So to imurim, that's the shita of Ravina Bar Shila. Rabbi Yochanan Amar kosher. No, did I skip? Yeah, Nevim Se'ele. Now I have 5 lines from the bottom. Nevim Se'ele. Avaraya. Basar kochim kalim shiotz lefnei zrikas damim. This is similar but very different. Over here we're talking about the steaks, the basar of kochim kalim, not the imurim, the basar, the meat that you're allowed to eat. Where? In Yerushalayim somewhere. So basar kochim kalim shiotz lefnei zrikas damim. Rabbi said, this is a good time to make sure your phones are off. I know that it's a different time of the day, but it's a good time to check your phone. Basar kochim kalim shiotz lefnei zrikas damim. Rabbi Yochanan Amar kosher, Rish Lakish Amar pasul. So we have a machlok is similar, but not the same thing, because we're talking about the basar that went outside of the Beis Hamikdash before zrika. Rabbi Yochanan says it's kosher, Rish Lakish says pasul. Rabbi Yochanan kosher, why is it kosher? Anyway, you're allowed to take it outside of the Beis Hamikdash and eat it. So you took it out a little early, jumped the gun before the zrika. Rish Lakish Amar, Pasul, Adayin Ligiz, Manilot says, yes, you're going to take it out, but wait, have patience. First Zrika, then you take it out. And the Gemara is Medai, it's only because this is a steak that you're going to eat. Everybody's going to agree that it's Pasul, like Ravina Bar Shila said. There's no machloikis. How come Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish don't argue in something else? They should argue in a murim. No, they're not arguing in murim because once you take a murim outside of the Beis Hamikdash, they become pasul, just like Ravina said. Says Gemara, who adin the murim nami plig. It's possible. It's not a good right. Why? It's possible that the machloikis is also bei murim. You asked me a good kasho. How come they argue on steaks? They don't argue on murim. You want to show how much Rish Lakish holds of a shita that filu basar, the soivel says, even a nice piece of steak that came off the carpet that you're allowed to eat, and you're allowed to eat it in your house in Yerushalayim. Omar Dayan Ligias Mani Lot says he holds that it's still possible. But let's say that this is a machlokes tanoim, not just hamarai. That's our case. You have a murim that left the Beis Hamikdash before you had a chance to do zrikas dam. Rebbe Lezer says there's no meila, meaning it's not. There's no. It lost its kedusha. It's finished. There's no pigel. There's no noise or no tame. Why? Because there's no. In order, if you guys remember, in order to do pigel, you have to have the avodas done. You have to have shchita, halacha, kabbalah, zrika. You have to have zrika. And over there's no zrika. Rabbi Kiva Omer Ma'alim. No, this is Me'ilah. Why? Because the Zrika that you're going to do later is going to be good. L'chayom Alem Shum Pigul Noisef V'Tamei. Ma'ila Abed Hadar Ailinu Pligi. L'chayra, it went out, but it came back into the Beis Hamikdash. U'Baha Pligi. The Mar Sava Mishal B'Yoytzei. Rabbi Lezer holds that it's possible just because it left the Beis Hamikdash. Mar Sava Mishal B'Yoytzei. Rabbi Kiva says, no, it didn't become possible. Since it didn't become possible, that's why there's still Me'ilah, it's still Kachim. Everybody's going to agree that the Zrika works if you brought it back into the Beis Hamikdash. Over here, it's outside, and that's why there's machlokes. When you have something that's not in the proper place, does the Zrika that I do inside the Beis Hamikdash, does it have an effect on whatever is outside? As Gemara, Rav Papa himself said that there's no machlokes when it's outside. The machlokes is when it came inside. How do you have lechem, the gufe, the zivcha? Oh, that's a different story. That remember the two breads that we bring on Shavuos together with the shlomim. So the shlomim and the two breads they're not the same. This is bread. There's a bunch of carbs, and this is protein. They're two different things. So they're not the same. And therefore, the zrika is not going to affect the bread. Avali murim, the gufa is but the murim that comes straight out of the same animal, and that they'll also argue when it's outside. Okay, nice, easy sugya now. We saw, I'll remind you, where did I put it? Oh, here, this one. Remember this part where the bird was upset? She's waiting so long, she's Oila. But who goes after the Oila bird? Mincha.
מי אחרון בתור? אני גר. מי אחרון? אני
You whispered that he's the last one. Okay. Mincha is always last. Why? Ask the Gemara. Let's see this one. Do we have here? No. Not yet. Adarabba says the Gemara. Oh, that's what's going on. My buttons weren't here. I can use them? Okay. I was wondering what's going on here. Adarabba, minchas n'dava kodemes. You can't do no shemen, u'levayna. A mincha of an adava, when a person decides to give something to the Rebbeinu Shalom on his own, he didn't do an aver or anything, he just comes to the Beis Hamikdash, he wants to give a flour carbon. Huh? Oh, sorry. Adrab, minchas kodesh, you can yesh mitzvah. It's mamish one of these days. My head is in Bnei Brak now. Minchas kodesh, you can yesh mitzvah, give yachid. There's the Aimer. There's the tzibur. It has to bring the Aimer. But the blood carbon of a bird is better than a mincha. Next, minchas chayte. The mincha of a sinner, somebody who swore falsely, is before the mincha of an adava. Why? Because chet comes first. But the mincha of an adava has more things with it. And we said already, we established that if it comes with more stuff, the mincha you have to do oil and levina, the frankincense. Minchas and the shem and levina, there's oil and levina. Afilu hachi minchas chayta abba chet adifa. No, at the end of the day, chet comes first. Here we had this game. We don't have to play it now, but you can just see what Yoshi worked till 2:30 in the morning. You have mini damim, tzibur yachid. What comes first? Tzibur yachid, mini damim. The mincha, the daif comes first. And now next, okay, fine. Great. Ibaylu. Minchas soitu, minchas nedava, ezemem koidemes. The mincha v'soita, what's the soita? The soita is a woman whose husband warned her not to have yichud with another man. She didn't listen. So now he suspects her. So he brings her to the Beis Hamikdash. There's a whole process. One of the things is she has to bring a mincha to see whether or not she was mizana. So is the mincha that she brings, is it for a chet, for a sin that she did? Huh? What is it for?
Clear up the suffix.
To clear up the suffix. Very good, Rabbi Feder. The Saita mincha or the minchas nedava? Neither of them on our first sin. Minchas nedava kadma shekein tuna shemen. Maybe it's the nedava one because it goes together with oil and frankincense. But maybe it comes to see if she sinned or not, so it has some sort of connection to chet, and therefore her mincha comes before. The kohen has a choice: should I bring this mincha? Should I bring this? The one that has something to do with the chet comes before nedava. Tashma, I'll prove it to you. Minchas chayte kedem is the minchas nedava. It says that the mincha of the sinner comes before the mincha of a nedava. Minchas chayte the minchas you can infer only that comes before. Ha minchas chayte lie, but l'chayra not a mincha v'sayta. Says Gemara, mikatani v'nei shi mechaperes, v'nei shi ba'al chet katani. Well, now ba'al chet. The reason why the minchas chayte, the person who was bitu, was eidos, whatever sin he did, he has to bring. How come he comes before nedava? Because there's a chet, not because it's mechaper, because there's a sin. This also is coming because of a sin, a suspected sin. Tashma. So we don't have a raya. Tashma. Zu kedem zu. Oh. So it says, there's like a riddle. It says, this one comes before this one. We don't know what this one is, and we don't know what this one is. It says, Shedzu ba min achitim, v'zu ba min asayr. One clue we have. There's one mincha that comes from barley. What is that? Saita. Saita, it's a lower type of, it's animal food, exactly, animal food. Comes from sayr. What else comes from sayr in Rabbi Isai? Not a mincha, something else? Aimer, the aimer. Zubam and asayr. So, okay, so we know that on the left side, the mincha sayr comes from sayr. But what comes from chitim? It says the chitim comes before the sayr. So we know that we have sayta is the second one. Her mincha is going to be the last. But what comes first? It could either be minchas nedava, which is chitim, or it could be a minchas chayte, which is chitim. That we don't know. My lav. So Gemara says, oh, we have a raya minchas nedava, the minchas sayta. It's referring to the top one. Minchas nedava is going to come before minchas sayr. And what's a classic Gemara answer? Loi. It's referring to the second one, minchas chayta. Loi, minchas chayta, minchas sayta. You no raya from here. But the Gemara says, wait a minute. You think I didn't think about that? I knew you were going to tell me. No, it's referring to the chayta one. But the chayta one, it'd be so partial. Why do you have to tell me? Typically, the mechaperes, the chayta comes to forgive a sin, and forgiving a sin that we already established. And anything that comes to forgive a sin comes first. Like a chatas comes before oila. Why does chatas come before oila? Because the chatas is mechaper, and oila is not. So what do you want to tell me? So it's not the bottom one; it's the top one, the nedava. Why would I have to tell you that halacha that the minchas dava comes before minchas saita? Minchas dava comes with the oil. Of course, it comes first. Yeah, you're right. You have this reason that it has more. The other one it comes for a chet, but at the end of the day, we don't know. It could be one or the other, and we don't know. Oh, you did this. Sorry. Which one is koydem? Fine. The bird chatas comes before the bird oila. You're not immediately. How do I know this? You have two birds. A woman comes. She gave birth. She brings two birds. The oila, the chatas, they come together from one person. Which one do you put on the mizbeach first? Which one are you makriv? Shecht first or moilik first? The Torah Rabbanan, v'hikriv es asher lachatos rishoyna. This is referring to the carbon oil of yared. Oil of yared means typically a person who would have to bring a carbon, he'd have to bring a sheep. What's this? I don't know what this is. Oil of yared. A new oil of yared chart. Let's see. No, I don't think so. It's not here? Okay, you know what oil of yared is, right? We had it the other day. Person is wealthy, he brings a sheep. If he's poor, he brings a bird. When it comes to a woman, she would bring a bird instead of one bird she has to bring. Okay, so she brings a bird, oila, instead of her carbon oila. So, but over here, it's talking about asher lechatas rishoyna. Oh! If he's wealthy, he brings the chatas. If he's super, super poor, he brings flour. If he's in between, he brings birds. If the now, what happens? This person is supposed to bring an animal. Instead of bringing a chatas, he brings two birds. You hear this? One chatas, he brings two birds instead of that. One is a chatas, one is a oila. If it comes to tell us that the chatas should go first, it says in the pasuk, the second one should be an oila. I know I had these psukim. So maybe they disappear somehow. This pasuk is coming to tell us that, as we'll see in a second, the Gemara is going to do like a Chazarah, a review, that the chatas comes before chatas comes before an oila. If they come together, if a person has to bring two birds instead of one chatas, the chatas should come first. Bein chatas ha'oif loila ha'oif. It's even if you have two birds, the chatas ha'oif comes first. Bein chatas behema, that even works in a chatas behema and a oilas behema. The behema animal chatas comes first before the oila animal. And listen to this. Va'afilu chatas ha'oif la'oilas behema. If you have an animal and a bird, the bird is the chatas and the animal is the oila, the bird comes first. Remember that. We're going to talk about it for a minute. Again, this is a big chiddush. Usually animals come before birds, but not if the animal is a oila and the bird is a chatas. In that case, the bird comes before the oila. And now the Gemara does Chazarah. Hilkach. Chatas ha'oif, loila ha'oif. That's Hasheni. We learn from a pasuk that if you have two birds, one is chatas, one is oila, chatas comes first. Chaz behema, loilas behema, with the Rabbi Rachmana that we had yesterday in the Pei Tesam Aleph, all the way on the top. We had a limud that if you have two animals, one is a oila, one is a chatas, the chatas comes first. And now we have another thing. Chatas ha'oif, loilas behema, mizeh bonav. And from the fact that we see in the beginning that if you have two birds, the chatas comes before the oila, and we learn from there, the pasuk is extra, we learn from there that chatas is always before the oila, also in the case where chatas oif, la'oilas behema mizebanav, when you have a yoledes, you have a woman who gave birth, and she brings a oila behema, that she can't get out of. Even if she's poor, she has to bring the oila behema. And she brings the chatas oif. The chatas oif comes before the oila behema. Tashma. There's a way to remember it a little bit. Why is it that when a person has to bring an animal chatas, but he can't afford it, he brings two birds? One chatas, one oila. Shouldn't he just bring one bird, a chatas, and finish? The chatas bird instead of the chatas animal. Why does he bring a chatas and an oila? What does the oila have to do with anything? The pshat is Because when you bring a chatos animal, part of it goes on the mizbeach, and part of it the kohen gets to eat. But if you have a chatos bird, the kohen eats it. There's nothing that goes on the mizbeach. So therefore, we bring two birds. One is oila, goes completely on the mizbeach, and one is a chatos. It could help us understand a little bit of what as far what's going on behind the scenes here. So says the Gemara, Rebbe Lezer Omer, chatos kudemes. When you get rid of the chatos animal, instead you bring two birds, then the chatos bird is first. Why? Because you're getting rid of a chatos animal, so you bring the chatos bird first. Doesn't make sense to bring the oila bird first. You know what going to say like three svaras here. Bekan oila kudemes. Since the birds are instead of the chatos, so what makes sense? The oila should go before a chatos? The birds are instead of the chatos. So the chatos bird should be first. This is the second reason. Since it comes for a sin, chatos kedemes, v'chein oila kedemes. This is like a third reason. And any time that two come instead of one chatos kedemes, v'kan oila kedemes. Okay? Omar Rav. So Rava says, no, not a good kasha. You're asking me that you see over here that the oila bird comes before the chatas bird. And we just said the opposite, that the chatas comes first. So he says, no. This part that we just read, that the oila bird comes before the chatas bird, is only how you read it, but it doesn't really mean it. Chatas always comes before the bird, before oila. The Gemara is just explaining why it says in the Torah that the oila bird comes first. Like it mentions the oila bird first, not that it's supposed to be first. Chatas bird comes first, like we said. You bring me a kasha here because it seems like the oila bird is first. No, it's just in the reading of it, the mikra, and we have to explain why the Torah said it like that. Tashma, parim kodim leilim, ve'elim kodim kvasim. We don't know exactly what it's talking about, but it says that the bulls come before the rams, and ve'elim kodim kvasim. The rams come before sheep. Kvasim l'seirim, and the sheep come before the sa'ir, which is a chatas. And the kvasim are the oila. So it says Gemara, my lab, the chag. So now you see top Rashi. I have it over here, but I don't have time to look for it here. I think it's over here. Good. Top. The sirim have a chatos, ukvasim oila. Uktani, kvasim kodim. You see that kvasim, the oila, comes before the chatos. My lab, the chag. Aren't we talking about sukkahs? Loi. We're not talking about sukkahs. Linadava. We're talking about that everything is a oila. So you can't bring me right from here. What comes first? Chatas oila. It's all nadava. And this the Gemara explains that tzadikim beis. Why do the bulls come first? Because they have a lot of wine. The same reason why the elim come before kvasim. Kvasim l'sirim. Why? Because they have a lot of the sheep have a lot of fat on the tail. Tashma parkoi Mashiach koidim lepar helim dover shel tzibur. We remember, yeah, the Kohen Gadol made a mistake. In halacha, he has to bring a special bull. Par helim dover. No, yeah, that's what it is. Koidim par helim dover shel tzibur. Par helim dover shel tzibur. When Sanhedrin say you could eat a certain type of chaylev, let's say they make a mistake, they bring a different type of bull. If Klal Yisrael made a mistake with Avodah Zarah, they also bring a bull. And over here you have the oila comes before chatas. The par of Avodah Zarah, which is oila, comes before the sira Avodah Zarah, which is a chatas. The avagav the par of Avodah Zarah oila, sira Avodah Zarah chatas. So we have a l'chayra problem. Here you see the oil comes before chatas. Says Gemara V'emem Reisha, but why didn't you learn from the first part? Par el dover shel tzibur koidim par of Avodah Zarah. You have a chatas that comes before an oila. Says Gemara, yeah, but b'chadmina mi'eloi kamrina, the chatas kadma. You kamrina betray meaning. I'm talking about when it's two, like you have a bull and a goat. Ashkechon oila, the kadma l'chatas. You see that the oila, which is a bull, comes before the goat. Says the Gemara, okay, good kasha. Over there, it's something special. They say in Eretz Yisrael, Shmei the Rava, Barmari, Chatas of it is Zorah Chaser Aleph. The reason it's only here, it's a one-time thing because the word Chatas is missing an Aleph, and that's why it loses its superiority. The Oila comes before it. Lechatos, it says without Aleph Ksiv. Ravina Omar, I have another reason why here it's a one-time thing. It says Kamishpat, like this, so it should be. It says Gemara Hashdas Lachi. Now that you said that the word Kamishpat means just like so, and it's different than the rest of the Torah, I feel the part of the Chagnami. You could answer the same thing by the top of the Amid that we're talking about, the bulls of Yantiv. Kamishpatim Siv over there, Kamishpatim Sivu, over there it also says Kamishpatim, so that's why the Oila is first. You don't have to say that the whole thing is Oila, so whatever we answer there. No, the Oila comes before Chatas because, even though it's Sukkos, but it says in the Parsha of Sukkos, Kamishpatam. Great. Now we have a very interesting question, and with that we're going to finish. Iboilu. Let me ask you, what comes first, Meiser Behema or Chatas Oif? Meiser Behema comes before a bird. Chatas. And a Chatas bird comes before an Oila. An Oila comes before Meiser. And Meiser comes before, so what do? Chatas Oif comes before a Oila. That we said. A Meiser Behema comes before a Chatas Oif. And a Oila comes before Meiser Behema. So you got a shtickle problem. You get dizzy. What do you mean? So what do you do? Think the chatas oif. If you bring the bird chatas first, it can meiser the kadam law. Meiser comes first because meiser is an animal. Animal comes before a bird. Lick the meiser, and if meiser should be first, it goes behema the kadam law. Oila is before meiser. Think the oila is behema, and if the oila should go first, it can chatas oif the kadam law. We just established that the bird chatas comes before the oila animal. Says the Gemara, Hachatar Gimu in Bava, they said, Min Zevachim. So you have a problem. Here, let's show this again. This is what you do. The Meiser should come before the Oila can't go first because it's together with the Chatas Oif. They come together, right? They're a package deal. They came together, and the Chatas Oif cannot. The Chatas Oif always goes before Oila. You cannot break that rule. 2 has to go before 3. You can't do 3 before 2. You can't put Oila before Chatas. But what you could do is 1 could go before 2. Why? Because 1 is an animal. Animals go before birds. Just happens to be that when you have the bird Chatas and Oila, then it's an exception to the rule. So they're done. So we can't deal with them. But you can do 1 before 2. That's what they said in Bavel. Hacha. In Bavel they said that. B'marav Amri, but in Eretz Yisrael they said, Aila ba'oilas behema b'chatas oif, v'agbato m'maiser. The truth is, they're saying that you can't put meiser behema first. Why? Because what's so special about meiser behema? The meiser behema is a behema, and a behema it goes before a bird. Guess what? Oil is also behema. Oil has that specialness. It's special. Just what? It has a problem that the bird is with it. But let's take the 2 of them together and rise above the Meiser behema. So let's see Rashi inside. Rashi says like this. Oila is more chashiv than meiser. She kodesh kadashim b'kalil. Oila is kodesh kadashim and meiser is kachim kalim. So oila is better, it's a higher madrega than kachim kalim. B'kalil, and it's all to Hashem. There's a kasav. Just we have a special halacha that says achadis kademes that the bird comes before. V'agbatim and meiser. Levata chashiv is shem min zevach shabai. You tell me meiser is so chashiv because it's an animal. So what? Oil is also an animal. The oila has that chashivos. The meiser also has. It's not. Meiser is not greater than oila. Oila also is a behema, and oila is greater than meiser. Therefore, says the Gemara, what do? Like this. You make the chatas oif first because the 2 of them rise higher than the meiser. The big special thing that meiser has, oila also has, and oila is more important than meiser. So oil has to go before Meiser, and Chatas goes before oil. So therefore, Chatas is 1, bird is 1, oil is 2, Meiser Behem is 3. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful night, have a good vach, and we'll see you tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.